I wish I could, for once, not talk about Vladimir Putin, but he isn't making it easy on me. His recent magical mystery political tour offers a great display of his cunning, and we'll show you why. Russia's president went all the way to Turkmenistan and met with Iran's president there, officially to celebrate a great Turkmen poet. Those delicate souls are clearly very fond of exalting verses. Let me just stop right here and ask, what exactly do we know about Turkmenistan? Probably not much, considering it's one of the most isolated and secretive countries in the world, and even with its growing importance in geopolitical affairs, it hardly ever gets a mention in Western media. The new president is the old president's son. He received the gift of 73% voter support from his dad. And anxious to secure his own gold statue on a horse, he has further curtailed women's rights using methods that wouldn't feel out of place in The Handmaid's Tale. He even went as far as to ban Botox and lip fillers. Now, luckily for Putin, that ban only applies to women. But let's get back to why he was there. Was it to admire this statue? No. The reason is entirely different, and if you don't know what it's about, to paraphrase Bill Clinton, it's the gas, stupid. Vladimir Putin, who's known as someone very sweet, and hence had some chocolates made with his likeness back in 2018. They were called Very Victorious Putin, victory again, and contained red pepper and vodka. But where was the nerve agent, I ask? Those sweets were then sent to some unsuspecting children in the Siberian city of Omsk who found Putin's vodka-laced benevolent smile gleaming at them in their New Year's baskets. Russia's most effective campaign has unfolded in Burkina Faso, a former French colony now ruled by Ibrahim Traoré, whose cult-like image is propped up by Russian AI-generated propaganda featuring Trump, Beyoncé, and a miraculously released from prison six-fingered R. Kelly. Piling on the fantasy are influencers like Franklin Nyamsi, who tells his hundreds of thousands of followers.
Vladimir Putin,
former KGB officer, came to fight in Africa in the 1950s, 1960s and 1970s. He participated in the fight against Western imperialism.
Putin was born in 1952, never battled imperialism, certainly not as a toddler, and likely never set foot in Africa before 2006. But somehow the myth lives on. Just days after Israel's strike, Putin returned to his long-standing fixation of reuniting Russian-speaking nations under Moscow's control. He bluntly declared Ukraine belonged to Russia and that, in fact, Moscow owns any land where a Russian soldier sets foot.
Вся Украина наша. Там, где ступает нога русского солдата, то наша.
That logic puts all former Soviet republics on his radar, especially the Baltic states, which are home to large Russian-speaking minorities. Another reason why everyone might be getting jittery is because Putin himself has come under increased internal pressure after Ukraine's daring Operation Spiderweb, which damaged or destroyed at least 20 Russian bombers, humiliating Moscow and emboldening hardliner elites. They are urging Putin to formally declare war. Although the West calls it a war, Putin still labels it a special military operation, a distinction that matters because it doesn't imply a full-scale escalation. Historically, the KGB has been a master of compromat, the art of collecting dirt for blackmail. The Steele dossier, an explosive intelligence report from a former MI6 agent, alleged that Putin has compromising material on President Donald Trump, leverage that could sway top-level political decisions. In the world of KGB capitalism, as author Catherine Belton puts it, Putin's siloviki, his strongmen, are bound together by a regime of mutual blackmail, where secrets are both weapons and liabilities. The Kremlin has systematically relied on compromat to discredit and coerce Russian dissidents into compliance. Only last week, 3 Bulgarian nationals living in the UK were put on trial for espionage, accused of setting up honey traps for journalists and politicians on Moscow's orders. Hey kids, today's program is sponsored by the letters FSB and GRU. We'll talk about Russia's ever-adapting espionage and the unexpected places it lurks. A concrete example. Here's a bizarre religious sect called Allatra, founded 10 years ago, coincidentally, during the Russian invasion of Crimea. Led by a Ukrainian, it preaches the extermination of Jews while hailing Putin as a pan-Slavic savior. Its offshoot is an NGO that claims to study climate change, but disseminates outlandish disinformation. It harbors neo-Nazis, anti-vaxxers, some UFO buffs, and a lot of shady financing. Banned in Ukraine and denounced in several EU states as a tool of Russian hybrid warfare, it nonetheless operates freely in many countries, including Poland, where it has a trove of online media content. Let's break this down because it's a fantastic vehicle. First, it's a mix of everything Putin wants the world to believe, like some intellectual junk lumped together in a drunken stupor. There's Putin's cult of personality, climate, vaccines, and world government conspiracies. Then the sect is tied to Ukraine, painting it as neo-Nazi and anti-Semitic, and according to Russia's propaganda, those are the reasons why the country just had to be invaded. I'm not sure what's up with the aliens. I guess some people are just into that sort of thing. Voila! And added point, when your propaganda tool masquerades as a religious group or an NGO and someone exposes you, claim persecution. It's rhetorical jiu-jitsu. You're essentially using the West's strengths, its rule of law and protection of religious minorities, against itself. Now that we understand how montages are set, it's time for individuals. First, there are agents or people directly working for Russian or Belarusian services. Think spies posing as journalists or activists, or those Slovenian sleeper agents swapped in a prisoner exchange whose kids looked thrilled to meet their lovely new uncle. Then there are the unwitting agents or useful idiots who act upon their ideology. But more often, people are just paid to carry out tasks, typically without fully understanding what they're involved in. Russia takes particular aim at teenagers through Telegram channels, luring them in with game-like challenges or paying them to become social media influencers. According to Poland's Digital Affairs Minister, a Russian campaign is offering $3,000 to $4,000 to individuals willing to spread disinformation online ahead of the Polish presidential election. Artists actually make a profit from Z culture. Take this not at all Nazi-looking, platinum blonde, ultra-patriotic pop star Shaman, who bleated the national anthem to Putin recently. His rise has been nothing short of meteoric as he's become the face of Russia's wartime propaganda.